Welcome back to another deck tech video. This time I'm going to be talking about my third corporation deck. I still have just currently the 5 Netrunner decks. Then after I get a chance to play these more, maybe we'll scrap these and make some new ones. The whole point in this little series of these deck techs is kind of to show off, the casual decks I'm building, and mostly just to show off the old Netrunner cards to people who might not have seen them before, or just might be interested in what somebody's doing with them right now. It's kind of a kitchen table mentality. So that's the point of these deck tech videos. Later on, I might delve into what were like meta decks back in the day. Now, I wasn't there back in the day, so I'll have to use some resources. Fortunately, there were some really awesome pioneers who recorded a lot of that data, and I'll talk about that at the end of the video. And those people can give us a better understanding of old school meta decks. But for now, I will just walk you through the little last deck tech video here. And yeah, so this is a corporation deck. I'm just going to kind of separate the card types out here. This deck is going to be more of a fast advance. And if you played Android Netrunner, the most comparable thing to it would be like a HB House Spyroid fast advance deck, and you'll kind of see why based on some of the card selections. So whenever I'm doing the corporation decks, I always like to start with agendas. So we're going to start with one of my favorite agendas from the first set, and it is called Corporate Downsizing. Awesome art, really kind of just like this, I don't know, CGI abstracted. I really like the art on this. It's a 3/2, so the stats are already awesome. Again, it could be blank, and 3/2 is still pretty good. But it actually has an awesome benefit. When you score Corporate Downsizing, show to runner any number of agenda cards stored in HQ. Gain bits equal to twice the combined agenda points of these cards. Then shuffle them into R&D. So this is doing a couple things. First of all, it's helping us deal with agenda flood, or if we just want to get agendas out of our hand, our headquarters, then we can shuffle them back in when we score this. But it actually is better than that because it's going to gain us some bits on top of that to recoup some of the investment from advancing and scoring Corporate Downsizing. I run a lot of 2-point agendas. I think I run actually all 2-point agendas in this deck. So if I can show 2 agendas, that's 8 bits right there. So that's a fantastic little combo with Corporate Downsizing. So I'm running 2 of those. Then I'm running 4 Marine Arcology. This is very comparable to Android Netrunner's Helahands Arcology. But Helahands is only a 3/1, whereas this is a 3/2. So great stats, and you spend 2 actions to gain 3 bits. It's not the best economy engine in the world, but I found back when I played Android Netrunner that I really liked Helahands, and it doesn't seem like it'd be that good, but 2 actions for 3 bits, you're getting a little bit of that click compression. I like it. It works especially well in decks that can have cheaper ice, or I really liked Helahands in Genteki decks, or advanceable traps and stuff. But I like it for a little econ boost. Then my last 4 agendas here to make up 20 points is Project Venice, and this is where we'll start to see some of the strategy of this deck specifically. So Project Venice is a 4/2, good stats. For every 3 advancement counters over Project Venice's difficulty that are on Project Venice when you score it, gain an action during each of your turns. So we see this over advancing the agenda mechanic, and then the potential to gain another action on each of our turns. Now, advancing it to 7 is nuts. That's a long time for it to be installed and for you to be protecting it. But I really just want to try and score one of these things because, as we know, if a corporation has 4 actions, 5 actions on a turn, anything more than 3, and the corporation just gains a huge edge over the runner. You can install, triple advance, score things, and because I'm running, 5 other 3/2s? Yeah. Having that additional action, it can be a game winner for sure. So running 4 of those. I really love this Mark Tedden art. Tedden? I don't know how to say his last name. I want to get this one signed potentially. I know he comes to some conventions out where I'm at still, so maybe you'll have to get that one signed. Super cool agenda. All right, let's do my operations next. So we got overtime incentives. We're running 3 of it. This is Biotic Labor from Android Netrunner. It's basically the same card. You spend 4 bits and you gain 2 actions. So you effectively get 1 more action for 4 bits. So you can install, triple advance something, score out of Heal a Hand, score out of corporate downsizing, make some money. Yeah, just trying to do that fast advance thing. Just running 3 of those. Then we're running Day Shift. This is kind of just like a good stuffy card. It's just click compression or action compression. You draw 2 cards and gain 1, so 3 actions worth of stuff for 1 action. So 0 bits. So draw some cards. I definitely want to add that extra card draw. That's pretty typical for fast advanced builds. You want to draw into those agendas and those key operations that fuel your strategy. This is a big card for the deck. It's 10 bits to play this bad boy. It's called Management Shakeup, and you get to add 3 advancement counters to any combination of cards that can be advanced. So really what this one wants to do is, put down action 1, drop a Venice. Action 2, maybe advance it once. Action 3, Management Shakeup, and you can score out of hand. 10 bits is a lot to spend, but you are getting 3 advancements. So it's, you can close out the game with it, or just if you can save up some money and just score a Project Venice out of hand, so you're set up for the rest of the game. Yeah, crazy operation there. Then we'll jump over to 2 accounts receivable. Again, this is hedge fund in Android Netrunner. It's, you spend 5 bits, gain 9, you're netting 4. A lot of competitive deck lists in the old days would run 10 of these things. It's just, why wouldn't you run 10 hedge funds if you could? And you were allowed to back then. That was a totally legitimate thing. I'm running 2 because, I don't know, I just think it's boring to... I always hated in Android Netrunner when every deck was just 3 hedge funds, 3 sure gambles. It was like an auto-include, and I don't know, I always didn't like auto-include cards. So I'm just running 2 for that splash kind of economy, but trying to keep it light. I like playing around with alternative economy engines. Again, I'm not building optimized decks. I'm trying to build decks that are just balanced against one another and kind of fun to play and explore the mechanics of the game. Especially because I'm either playing with my wife or family members or friends who don't have as much investment in the game. And so I really just like to build decks that kind of just show off the mechanics and are fun to play without being hyper optimized. So that's the thought process behind that one. We'll move on to my nodes. These Android Netrunner calls them assets, but they're called nodes in this. We got Nevinral. The good old Watsy using that I think it's Nevinral. I think that's how I say it. Magic the Gathering has like Nevinral's disc, or I think he later on became a commander in the Commander Legends set. This node is crazy. So for 3, I res it, and it says gain an action during each of your turns. But if Nevinral leaves play while it's resed, I lose the game. So this is a high risk, high reward card. As soon as you res it, you open up a... Actually, I think it has to be... Oh, yeah, it's well res. So as soon as you res it, you're opening up an alternative win condition for the runner. So big risk there. I have it in here to close out the game. So I'm running 2, so I can definitely see it. This wants to score out the last agenda. That's the goal of it. Potentially, if I can guarantee your runner's locked out of a server, maybe... that this deck is not really trying to do that, but if I know they can't get in a server, then maybe I res it a turn early and have it for a couple turns. It can definitely combo nicely with if you're able to score Project Venice early and then res one of these, 5 action turn, you're doing really good as a corporation. So that's Nevinral. It's unique too. You can only have one of it resed. I'm running one of these spin public relations. So this is just some trickle economy. Your res is for 1, trash is for 4. You can take 1 bit off it at the start of your turns, and then you spend an action to load 3 bits onto it. So every 3rd turn or so, you reload it, and then it just trickles economy into you. So kind of similar to Holovid campaign. I think it's cheaper to res, but also cheaper to trash. Just running 1 of that for some trickle economy. Then this one's kind of just an experimental one, running one of the Sid Meier Superstores. Trash a res piece of ice, gain 4. The original Android Netrunner core set had a card similar to this. I think it was called like Detroit Police Contract or NAPD like New Angeles Police Contract. Something trashing ice for money, right? Generally, trashing ice that you've rezzed is a bad idea as the corporation. You've already spent the time and money to get it rezzed and protect your data fort, so trashing it isn't usually a good idea. I'm running it here as kind of like a late end game. Okay, I've got ice, and now I just need to re-money up so I can, maybe I drop one of those 10. I need just enough bits to play one of those management shakeups so I can burn some ice to fuel those late game operations. That's the idea of it. So yeah, we'll see. I haven't had a chance to play this deck yet, so we'll see how well that goes. But I also like just experimenting and seeing what different cards can do. I'm running 4 Brain Dance campaign. Kind of boring, but similar to those Maryland campaigns, Adonis campaigns. It's, reses for 6, trashes for 7. You put 12 on the bank from it. Every start of your turn, you take 2 bits. Again, just that slow trickle economy. These are nice because they're generally safe, unless the runner's making a ton of money. The runner wants to trash them, but 7 is not an insignificant amount. So they can kind of trickle. You can leave them unprotected sometimes or behind like 1 ice, and you'll usually make all your money back off of them. So yeah, that's that node. Now on to the ice suite. I'm running 1 less ice than I normally. I usually like to stay, I guess, between 16 and 18. 18 is kind of my default number, but this deck runs 17 ice. So we'll start with Firewall. It's a barrier or wall, and reses for 5. It's got strength of 4. Pretty basic. Ends the run. Then we'll jump over to Neural Blade. So it kind of sounds like Neural Katana from Android Netrunner, but it's different. It only does 1 net damage, and then it's got a second subroutine that says the runner cannot break any subroutines on the next piece of ice they encounter during the run. So again, it's a positional piece of ice. Those have been historically kind of controversial. Like, a lot of people will say, oh, positional ice kind of sucks because you have to really make sure it's in the right spot. So that's why I'm only running 2. But, they definitely have to break that second subroutine, especially if you have this behind, like in front of a end the run subroutine or something else that they, So it's annoying. In strength 4, pretty good. Res for 4, decent little piece of ice there. Then I've got 3 Dark Knight. It's a Sentry, trashes a program, and Throne. It's only strength 2. Similar to Android Netrunner core set, probably Roto Turret would be the close. So maybe a little higher on the strength there. Nice. It's a little bit gear checky, but if you can, maybe they only have their code gate breaker or their wall breaker, and you can trash an early program and make them come up with a solution. So nice little piece there. I think it's just common from set 1. 3 Wall of Static. I love this card. This is like, I almost always throw at least one of these in my corp decks because I love the art, and there's a little gear check. It's 2 strength wall, and the run subroutine reses for 3. Yeah, Wall of Static. I love this. I've said it before. I'll say I want to play out of this card so bad. It's so cool. Just that abstracted staticky fuzz. Very cool. Running, I think, 1 keeper. Yeah, just a code gate, strength 4, and the run. You'll see I'm running lots of little end the run, cheap end the run ice. Again, typical of a fast advance strategy. I just need to gear check the runner long enough to quick and fast advance my stuff. At least that's the idea. 3 filter, res for 0. This is as gear checky as it gets. It's strength 0. Do you have your code gate breaker? There's I feel like a couple of the code breakers, if not most of them, break for 0 or 1. So like they're literally walking through this for free once they get their code gate breaker, or very cheaply. But if they don't have their code gate breaker, it slows them down. And then because I always like to add a big splashy piece of ice. I just feel like it's like in the spirit of Netrunner, you just always need some piece of ridiculous ice. So we've got 3 Mastiff, just to keep the runner honest. It's this big old Sentry, black ice, strength 5, nasty. It's got 5 subroutines. The first 2 are do a brain damage, do a net damage. Then the third one is for the remainder of the run, all the ice encountered is +1 strength. So this likes to be on the outside of the data fort. The fourth subroutine is trace limit 5. If it's successful, we give the runner a massive counter. Then each massive counter does 1 brain damage at the start of each run. Runner may remove a massive counter by taking an action and spending 4. So yeah, if you're able to get that trace to succeed, they're going to have to remove that massive counter because they're not going to want to run until it's gone. And then the last subroutine, number 5, is end the run. So it reses for 12. You know, I'm definitely not going to be Sid Meier'ing this ice probably. Well, I don't know. Maybe I am if I'm winning the game. So big old splashy fun piece of ice there. Okay, so that's the deck, that little fast advance. You definitely see some similarities to like an HB fast advance. I'm comparing everything to Netrunner because that's when I was playing a lot and that was kind of my heyday. So what I want to do now is kind of shift over to, I've talked a lot about Netrunner Central, the website that has just a plethora of information about 1996 Netrunner, and the people that have written those articles and hosted it are awesome, and they're kind of like the old guard in my mind of the trailblazers of Netrunner. One of them is named Jens, and it's Kreutzer. I believe it's a German name. I'm probably not pronouncing it correctly, but I'm sorry if I'm not. He was behind this Top Runners Quarterly, or TRQ. It's kind of shortened into, and this was a quarterly, most of the time quarterly fanzine or publication that they did that was kind of just talked about Netrunner and kind of the state of play and just, you know, news that was happening, good decks, and this is where a lot of people got their information about where the game was at. This issue specifically came out 5 years into the game, and it's kind of a compilation of other TRQ articles and things that had been published and kind of condensed and cherry-picked to be really good. So if you have any interest in this and old deck lists, I highly recommend you going to Netrunner Central, and I will put a link in the description notes for you to click on so you can make it easy for you. And if you read nothing else, read this article. It is long, but you can just, you know, take it a chunk at a time. But the reason it's awesome is because this one really focuses in on old meta decks from back in the day and kind of the deck list itself and how it worked, but also the, you know, behind the scenes of like, why did this deck pop up and who discovered it and what did people do to try to counter it, and then, you know, you kind of see the meta evolution of 1996 Netrunner. And so this is just a fantastic, I can't recommend this enough. I recently was able to, I reached out to the hosts of Netrunner Central, and of which he is one, and I didn't expect a reply back because that site hasn't been updated since 2009. So I'm like terrified it's going to go down because it's just this wealth of information about the old Netrunner game. But I did get an email back from him. He's from Germany, and he was very nice, very awesome, and, you know, just he pointed me in the direction of some other resources that I did not have access to, which was awesome. And I would just go encourage you to read. His writing style is awesome, and, you know, he's behind these articles. So if you really want to get into like good old Netrunner decks, this would be where to start. And, you know, from there you can actually delve in and you can go. They have it all archived and cataloged of the TRQ, you know, the history of the Runner Quarterly magazine. And he did provide me some assurance. You know, I communicated to him that I was concerned. I was worried that Netrunner Central would vanish. And he says that the plan is to keep it up for at least the foreseeable future. So my fingers are crossed that Netrunner Central will live on. So yeah, go and visit the site and read these articles. And yeah, let me know. I'm always curious who out there is either watching these videos or like still playing old 1996 Netrunner. So yeah, let me know if you're still playing or like what kind of decks you're doing or whatever. Pretty soon I hope to throw up a gameplay video. Again, I have a little 2-year-old, so he's kind of the focus of my time right now, but I make these videos when I have time, and hopefully pretty soon we'll get a gameplay video up for some of these deck lists that I've done videos on. All right, well, there's deck tech number 5. Go read TRQ and have a good one.